Go ahead and mute yourselves then, and
Do
only
we need a
unmute
ruler?
yourself. Yeah, you'll want a straight edge. A ruler is helpful, but at least a straight edge. Doesn't have to be a ruler. So a straight edge of any type. I mean, you could use the edge of a book. You could use the edge of a box. Right? I mean, I could use like this folder thing. As long as it's got a straight edge that I can use to draw, you're good. So find something straight. And then if anyone has any questions, the best thing would, oh, my light turned off. Turn on light. The best thing to do would then be to turn on your mic, ask the question, and then turn it off again. Okay, so we're gonna draw. I am looking off of our sheet from Canvas, and I'm gonna draw it from scratch from the very beginning in case there's anyone who hasn't even started it. But then I'll get moving on the points. Okay, so, and it shouldn't take too long. I picked a random spot to start. You can see I just made a dot there. And that dot is on the corner of two squares. Okay, so I just picked a random spot to start, and it has to be on the corner of squares. If it is not on the corner of squares, you're gonna mess everything up. Vertically, going up along the left side, I need to go up 16 squares. I know 16 squares is exactly 4 inches, so I'm gonna use my ruler to my advantage. And 16 squares is 4 inches. So I can mark that up at the top. That's how far I need to go. 16 squares or 4 inches, same thing. And I'm gonna just draw a straight line there. 40, you got a question?
So I just moved into my house and we don't have any rulers yet. So what should I use?
Anything straight? A
Um,
folder, a book,
I'll,
the side of a box. So like I've got a box that this is my setup so I can draw for you guys. I'm putting my iPad on a box, but like the edge of a box would work. Yes, that'll work perfect. Oh, low battery. Don't die. Please don't die. Okay. All right. So I drew my line that's 16. I'm going to go ahead and number it. I'm only going to number every 2 lines. You can number every line, but the important thing is you need to number the lines. Okay. So this, every line, 1, 2, 3, not the squares. A lot of people struggle because they label the squares. So 2, I'm just doing every other. So the evens, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. You can do odds also, you can count, but see how every one of my numbers is on a line. That is very important. Across the bottom, I need 18. I know 18 is 4.5 inches. So again, I'm gonna use the cheat to where I just measure it with my ruler. If you don't have a ruler, that's fine. Count 18 and draw your line. And then I'm gonna number those again. 18 is how many we need. 2, 4, 6, 8. I am gonna number 9 because 9's exactly in the middle. 10.
How many
12,
squares are we going to the right?
14, 16, 18. See that nice big label right there that says 18?
Yeah.
sorry.
We're going 18. And again, I made sure I wrote those on the lines. Oh, come on, focus. Doesn't want to focus, but they're on the lines, not in the gaps. And I labeled 9 because that's the middle, and that's the most important one for what we're drawing. All right, to get your triangle, I need to go exactly to the middle, which is 9, and up to 16. So I'm gonna find that 9. I like to use my straight edge to make sure I stay on the correct line. I'm gonna find 16 and I'm gonna just put a dot. So that dot lines up with 16 and it lines up with the 9. And now I have to use a straight edge. A lot of people I'm telling are doing wrong because they're not using a straight edge here. I have to use a straight edge to go from this point to the corner, to 0. Right? That's where 0 would be. This is the triangle you are going to cut on your wood. So if you make it curved or crooked, or you like just kind of eyeball it and do the best you can, that's what you're going to follow when you cut on your wood. So it's not going to look very good and you're going to get a bad grade. So you have to use a straight edge here. I'm going to draw that down. And then from that point, I'm also going to connect to 18. I'll line up with 18. So now I have my triangle. That's what you should have done on your virtual day. All right, so for placing our points, they use dots in the picture in the example. I like to use plus signs. It doesn't matter which one you do, but I like plus signs because like X marks the spot. And we're gonna follow these coordinates. So the first number is always your X direction, or your left and right. The second number is always your vertical. Okay, so you can see on the first 5 I'm showing here, they all have a vertical, so second number, of 2. They're going to line up straight across at square 2. And then they're just going to be different distances to get them spaced out so they look like those dots on the bottom. Right. So I'm going to set this back up here so you can see. Our first one is at 3, 2. So our first height is 2. I'm even going to write that on the side. And it's at 3. So I'm going to go over on the lines, not the squares. So 0 is on a line, 1 line, 2 line, 3 line. That's what my numbers were for, to help me find that. And then up 2. I like to make a plus sign. You can make a dot. It doesn't matter. Let me use my fancy zoom, also called picking up the paper. And you can see it's third line to the right and second line up. Every plus sign after that is going to line up in that same height for this row. I'm going to have 5 in this row. So at the height 2, I'm going to have 5. So the second one, first one was 3, 2. Second one is 6, 2. So I'm going to go to 6, same height, plus sign. The next one is 9. Hopefully you see the pattern. We were at 3, 6, 9. Next in the pattern, 12. Next in the pattern, 15. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So on level 2, every 3 lines, I'm placing a plus sign. Any questions? If anyone's got questions or needs help, go now. Or if anyone is done, you can show me. Turn your mic on, Porter.
I'm behind a lot. Like, I haven't even got my triangle drawn yet.
Okay, so on the left, it's up 16. And on the right, it's over 18. So you're just counting those.
Sorry, what?
On the left side, you go up 16 squares, count 16 squares up.
Right.
And on the bottom, you're counting 18 over. And I can actually, I can also send this to you. So I'm going to keep going, but then I can send the video of this to you so you can follow it from there. So if you don't get caught up, don't worry about it. I'll just email me and I'll email the video to you.
Mr.
Right.
Ben,
Yep,
do we
who's
write the measurements on the side? Not the measurements, but like the 2-5 on the side.
You don't have to. That's just so you guys know, hey, this is on level 2 and we're
Okay.
that's just my hints for you. You don't have to write that stuff. Okay, our next row, our next set of coordinates are all at 4.5 height. Right? The distances are different, but the height is all at 4.5. So I'm gonna write over here, just so you guys know it again, you don't have to write it, that we're gonna be at 4.5. And there are gonna be 4 dots this time, or 4 plus signs if you're doing it the way I do it. Okay, so the first one is at 4.5, 4.5. So when I do that, I'm gonna find 4, line number 4, and then I'm gonna go halfway. So I'm gonna be in the middle of the square. And then I'm going up 4.5 also. Okay. So over 4.5, up 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So my dot or my plus sign ends up being in the middle of the 5th square.
Okay.
After line 4, in the middle of the 5th square. The height is going to match all the way across. The distances are going to be every 3 again. And if you pay attention, if you look, it's right in between the 2 below it. It's exactly in the middle. And there go my lights. Oh, turn on light. There we go. It's right in between the 2 below. So I could kind of use that to help me to figure out where the next one is. Like, oh, there's the middle of the, and here. So on this one, it's 7.5. 7.5. You see that lines up right in the middle, and up 4.5. And then 10.5, 4.5. And then 13.5, 4.5. And so they're all in the middle of squares on that row. 4.5 high, starting at 4.5 and going every 3. So 7.5, 10.5, 13.5. Okay, the next row, we did 5 squares, or 5 dots, 4 dots. Now we're gonna do 3 dots. We were at 2, then we were at 4.5. What do you think we're gonna be at next?
3.
At 3? 2, 4.5.
Oh, my bad. 6.
So 2
I
plus
don't know.
2.5 gets us to 4.5.
Yeah.
So if we add 2.5 again, that should get us to 7. Okay. And so if I check on here, yep. So there's our 4.5 set we just did. Now we're going to do 7s. Okay. So our height is 7. We're going to end up with 3 plus signs. And the first one is at 6. Well, if I look at my first row, I had a 6. I had a 9, and I had a 12. So this third row is going to line up on number 7, but it's also going to line up with the plus signs I already drew below. So those are going to line up perfectly. And then we're going to line up across this way perfectly. So the middle one will line up, and the right side will line up. So you can kind of use these earlier ones to your advantage so you don't have to do as much counting. So we're at 6, 9, and 12, and all of them are 7 high. Seven high, 6, 9, and 12. Any questions? Okay. All right. Our next row, we had 5, we had 4, we had 3. So now we're going to have 2 plus signs. Is that 2? We added 2.5 to get to 4.5. We added 2.5 to get to 7. Now we're going to add 2.5 to get to 9.5. So if we look down here, 9.5 for our height. Our distance, we can use the same cheat So first row and third row lined up. Well, let's use the same cheat. Second row and fourth row are going to line up. Okay, so 7.5 I used for my second row. I'm going to come up to 9.5. So 9.5 and 7.5. So it lines up with row 2. Then our next one's going to line up also. Oh, I said 9.5. Sorry, I meant 7.5. 7.5, 9.5. Okay, yeah, I was right. Just confusing myself. Sorry. 7.5 over, 9.5 up, 10.5 over, 9.5 up. They line up with row 2. And that's how I check yours. Like when you guys show me, that's how I check. I just say, all right, does line 2 line up with line 4? Does line 1 line up with line 3? And as long as your first row is correct, I can pretty much tell everything else if it's good or not. Our very last one, we have 1. If we go up 2.5, that gets us to 12. So we're coming up to 12, and it's going to be right in the middle. So 9 to the right, 12 up. It's going to line up perfectly with row 1, row 3, row 5. They all line up. And our gaps on this side and our gaps on this side from our triangle to our plus sign should look the same, since we used a straight edge to draw those lines. I see a lot of students not use a straight edge and they like curve these lines or they like scribble them out wide and they mess them all up. Use a straight edge. These gaps are all equal on the right and the left. Everything looks symmetrical. All right. If you are all done, that's all for today. If you have questions or need any help, you can hang out and I can help you out. So you should have it all drawn and all done at this point. Make sure that you bring that with you and probably keep it in your locker in our classroom once you get it back to school so you don't lose it. We're going to cut these out and put them on your board eventually. All right?
Yep.
If you're all done, you can go ahead and go. Everyone else, if you've got questions, just hang out.
Bye.
See ya.
Mr. Bull.
Yeah?
I think I did this wrong.
Well, I can't see anything. Your video's not on.
Yeah, I did this wrong.
3, 2. Okay. Oh, keep holding it there so I can figure out what's wrong.
This side's uneven.
Yeah. So your first row is good on your plus signs.
Okay.
All your other plus signs are too low, and part of that's because your triangle was drawn wrong. Okay. So on your triangle, the point of it, this very top point,
Yep.
it's supposed to be on line 9 on the bottom. And I think yours is off to the right side a little too far.
Oh, yeah, it's off 2 squares.
Yeah. So that threw off the whole thing. So then on your other ones, you were like, well, if I draw them where he says, it's going to be too close to the line. It's going to look bad. So then you just kind of adjusted it, and that messed up all your other points. Your first row of points is good. Leave your first row of points.
Okay.
And then fix your lines, and then you can redo the other points. The list of numbers is on Canvas.
Yeah.
So you can use that. Or if you want the video of what I just went over, email me after you get off the Zoom and I'll forward you the video link so you can rewatch it.
Okay.
Jason, did you have any questions? Okay. Brody, did you need any help with anything else?
Oh, yeah, that's way better.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot better for your triangle, and then that'll be easier to get your other points. Okay. So try to use the instruction sheet, but if that's not making sense, just send me an email and I'll send you the video, all right?
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom then.
See ya.
All right.